chapter, or rather letter 31. How do we cure an illness? Where does illness come from? Well, the truth is there's many different types of illnesses, so it's not fair. That's why we need if you have the cure for cancer, it won't bring you the cure for heart disease. If you have for heart disease, it won't bring you for cancer, right? So let's deal with the heart. And let's try to bring a cure for that illness. And the truth is, it's not about the physical illness, and we're going to, even though everything in the physical is mirrored in the spiritual, evolves actually from the spiritual. So let's understand. So it says in Mishlei, Proverbs, well known at the gates. In other words, this is a well-known idea. The Zohar says that the Shekhinah is ailing in the exile, as it were. The Shekhinah, divine presence of God, is ailing in exile. Now, that's anthropomorphism at its best, right? So we need to understand, what does that mean? Well, we're going to understand from the human condition to the spiritual condition. And if we can understand well the human condition of ailing and the healing of that ailing, then hopefully we can understand how we can bring both spiritual and physical healing in our lives. So let us understand the cause of illness and health. Again, in a sense, you could say it's all based on this, right? Maybe there are causes that lead to this. And what is it? Very simple. That the dysregulation of the flow of life from the heart to the organs through the blood, right, which is the source of life, that flows from the heart to all the organs. So when it circulates around and goes into the limbs through the veins, right, and then it returns to the heart. If that circulation of that flow, the spirit of life, is proper, right, as it should be, everything is flowing, there's no problems, then, hey, you're healthy, you're good, perfectly healthy, right? Because the limbs are getting exactly the vitality that is necessary for them from the heart, and likewise it's coming back from the limbs to the heart, the full circle. However, if there's any disorder in the blood flow, there's something hindering, right, reducing the circulation, right, of the blood, which is the spirit of life vested in it, that comes to the limbs from the heart and from the limbs back to the heart, then a person is going to fall ill and sick, God forbid, right? And of course, the connection between the heart pumping the blood to the limbs and from the limbs back to the heart not only affect the limbs, right, in getting the blood flow, but also the heart is affected as a result. So that's something simple that we all understand. The Alter Rebbe says that metaphorically is precisely so when it comes to the souls of the Jewish people. Regarding the souls are like the organs of the body, and the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God, the source of life, the fountainhead of life, that is metaphorically like the heart. right? So, where does life first come and reside? Is in the souls of the Jewish people. From the Shekhinah. Why from the Shekhinah? Because from the infinite God, to get the source of life, the soul is not capable of maintaining that life. So it comes by way of the Shekhinah. Something we've learned in the past. Shekhinah is Malchus of Atzilus, right? for the Hasidic geographic location. Right? That's where, right? That's where we get our life force from. Now, at first, the life force is life force of the world, right? It is life force of the world. However, it comes to the Jewish people first. We see that in a blessing that we make, in every blessing that we make. It says, Baruch Atah Hashem. Baruch Atah Hashem means, blessed are you, God. But it means the God you are bringing. Baruch means to draw down. You're bringing life force. When you do a mitzvah, you're bringing new life into this world. Where is that life going? Where is that life going? When we say Elokeinu, our God. And then we say Melech HaOlam, King of the universe. In other words, before he's King of the universe, he's our God, the God of the Jewish people. Meaning that the life flow that comes from above, that God is the creator of all, first flows through the Jewish souls, our God, Elokeinu, and then Melech HaOlam, King of the universe. That's how it goes. Similarly, a person thinks before they speak. Likewise, in creation, the souls of the Jewish people arose in God's thought, as it were. As opposed to the rest of creation, it comes through God's speech. And God spoke, and the world came into being. But the souls come from thought, so thought comes before speech. He's our God, as we say in the blessing, Elokeinu, Melech HaOlam, and then King of the universe. Meaning that the life flow of divine vitality from the Creator comes into the Jewish souls and then into the rest of the world. Okay? So that is now like the heart bringing life to the world, to the limbs of the body, to all of the world. So Shekhinah is the heart, the divine presence, life force of God is bringing vitality into the body of the world. In that manner, it comes into the souls of the Jewish people and then to the rest of the world. Okay? Now, that's the first part of the heart pumping to the organs of the body. There's a second part, right? And what is that? From the organs, the blood now has to go back to the heart. This is the idea of Or Chayzer, reflective light. This is the idea of advance and retreat. Rotzi v'shoiv. So first, there's a rotzi, there's a flow that goes from the heart to the limbs. And then a shoiv, then there's a return. Right? Everything's a two-way street, so to speak. Advance and retreat. So then, again, this teaches us that in order that there should be a retreat, meaning come back, that the flow should come back to the heart, well, there has to be a unity between the organs in order that there's a continuous flow from the organs back to the heart. Otherwise, there's going to be something disrupting the flow of vitality that is going to bring back to the source of life from the organ to the heart, from the people to the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God, the fountainhead of life. With this, we understand why the second Holy Temple was destroyed, because of a baseless hatred between the Jewish people. The organs that attach us as one body, and in this instance, the metaphor here is being used as of the organs of one body, the Jewish people, right? That when they're not connected to each other, there's baseless hatred. So there's a disconnect from one organ to another, from one person to another. Then that brings about destruction. And that's what it means that the Shekhinah is ailing in exile. Because there isn't that connectivity between the people of Israel. And that's why we say in the Amidah, that God, He supports those who have fallen and the heals of those who are sick. And it says in the plural, because not only have we individually have need support because we have fallen, because we're disconnected from each other, but it's in plural, hinting, not the simple meaning, but hinting that what else is ailing? We're ailing because we're disconnected from each other, because we don't have the true bond with each other. But we're also creating now that blood flow, take the metaphor, right? That because the people are not connected with each other, so then the blood flow is restricted, and then what's going back to the heart is also restricted. And that creates an ailing heart, meaning the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God, is ailing. As we began with the Zohar saying that in exile, the Shekhinah, the divine presence of God, is ailing. Ooh la la. Powerful. Let's take this apart. Let's unpack this. There's so much here. So the first part that is very important is, of course, understanding how the divine flow comes into this world. It comes ultimately through the Holy Temple, through the holy people of Israel. And that sustains the rest of the world. If the world would recognize that, there wouldn't be any anti-Semitism. It's a reminder, this Wednesday starting an anti-Semitism course. If you didn't sign up yet, go to our website, ChabadZifrin.com. And there wouldn't be anti-Semitism if people would recognize this truth. That the vitality all comes from God. And it proceeds coming into the world through the Jewish people, their mitzvahs that they do, that brings life to all of humanity. You know, Sukkot's time we bring sacrifices, 70 sacrifices of bull sacrifices on the holiday of Sukkot to bring protection for the nations of the world, the 70 nations of the world. Jewish people are obliged to be there for the nations of the world. We protect them by bringing offerings in times of the Holy Temple. We are obliged to bring the notion of one God and the 7 Noachide laws to all of humanity. Not to change people that they have to become Jewish. I know that there's a lot of people that, learning Tanya and they're not Jewish. You don't need to be Jewish to be good in God's eyes, to be righteous. If you keep 7 Noachide laws, it's amazing. Of course, recognizing that it's from Torah, from the teachings of Moses in the Torah. So in any case, so that's a powerful idea, and unlike others who feel their chosenness, our chosenness is a result. It gives us the responsibility of bringing light to the rest of the world. So when we say Elokeinu, he's our God, and then Melech Ha'olam, King of the universe, right? So, yeah, well, he's got to be King of the universe. He can't just be our God. So, and in other words, the vitality needs to reach all of humanity. The message of God needs to reach all of humanity, and we have that responsibility. So that's the first point of the heart, Shekhinah, the source, the fountainhead of life, as it brings vitality to the world. That's the first point. That's amazing. And then bringing back the divine flow, right? The dual dynamic here, Ratzi v'shoiv. There's a flow that comes from the heart to the organs, and from the organs back now to the heart. Equally important. The only way that happens if the organs are healthy. What makes them healthy? If one organ feels, I'm super important, I'm more important than you, I'm going to take some of your blood flow away from you so I can have more. I want more in life. Whether it's material, metaphor being whether it's material, even spiritual. I mean, you want more. You need to get what you need to get. The other organ needs to get what it needs to get. And we need to be connected and recognize that. So it's not about me having. Yes, I need to have, because I'm also an organ. But I have to make sure that every other organ has too. Or at least not take that which I shouldn't take. Right? There's that sensitivity of being connected. And when you're connected, then the flow will come back. Healthy. Vitality. And the last thing we say in the Amidah, in our silent prayer to God, is Barcheinu Avinu Kulam Ke'echad, bless us, God, as we are one people. The Jewish people were united as one. You know what would happen? The rest of the world would be at peace. The rest of the world would find its place. And that's Mashiach. So the idea of the unity of the Jewish people to reality that we need to recognize. So what's the cure to illness? recognize that we're one entity, the Jewish people, and give life, the fitting amount of life to every part of the organs of the Jewish people that make up the whole one body of the Jewish people. With that, Kinnis HaShluchim, Kinnis HaShluchim now, which please tonight at 6 o'clock, watch the Shluchim from the Rebbe's emissaries from around the world. Thousands of them will gather at a banquet tonight at 6 o'clock. You can get it at Chabad.org. I'll be sending out an email. I'll be posting it also, so you can have the link. Davida, maybe if you have the link there, you can put it up now. Yeah, something to definitely partake. As a matter of fact, my Torah studies class is going to be at 5 o'clock today. Rambam at 1, Torah studies at 5, because of the Kinnis HaShluchim. Yeah, let's get to some questions and let's get to some conversation here. Ay, 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 diddy, da, yadam. Diddy, 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 ay, 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 yo, vadam, bad. Dee, da, da, dum. Okay, 1 second. Diddy, do, ay, ay. Okay. Okay, Marjan, we'll get to your question shortly. John, do the souls being created yesh mi'ayin return to nothingness on passing? Now, souls remain. I'm not clear the question, John, but the souls remain souls. Just they are disattached from their body, but the soul is a soul. I'm sure I missed something in your question, maybe, John. If you don't mind re-asking it, okay. Golda, it seems as though the Jewish history started from the temple time till today. It's proven that without your true spiritual leader, all nations can't achieve true peace. Now, first time ever, there's a global attack on humanity. And Mashiach isn't here yet. Yes, Mashiach we need, and we need the Rebbe to guide us. Andrew, because we are connected, is that why when someone who is Jewish does something wrong, or if something happens in Israel, we all feel it? Very well said, Andrew. Yeah. So, if a bomb goes off in India, or in Vietnam, in Malaysia, so, we're saddened by it. A loss of life is a loss of life. Every, human being created in the divine image. But when it goes off in Israel, you skip a heartbeat. A Jew will skip a heartbeat. How come? Because there's an integral connection, as Andrew, as you mentioned. There's an integral connection, limbs of one body, and therefore, because of that inherent connection, yeah, it's different. It's very different. I would imagine on some level, like if you're American and something happens in America, so you're gonna feel much more connected to some, terrible incident that happened around the corner from you, as opposed to on the other side of the world. But that's probably not because of a soul connection. That's because of a geographical connection, or a nationality connection. not a soul connection. Here we're talking about soul connection, so it's much more profound, much deeper. Does all that include? Does all Jessica? All that include our health cautions? I mean, that doesn't mean you should eat junky food and still feel connected to another. Yeah, eat healthy. I'm not certain if that was your question exactly, Jessica. You can clarify that for me. Question, is there a prayer for the doctors? Yeah, doctors need to pray to know that they're only a conduit for the work of God. They're God's workers, good doctors, and to recognize that. Absolutely. Denise, does Mashiach wait to come once we are all united, or he will bring us together after he comes? Good question. It can happen either way. Of course, ultimately the best way is that we're connected, and we create that, connection, and that brings it, Achishena in a quicker way. Yeah, definitely. Sound, I think it's working. Okay, I think I answered all questions. Anybody on Clubhouse have something to share, or a question or something? Is there anything? Did I miss something? Yes, so there's going to be a class tonight. Again, 5 o'clock Torah studies will be tonight. And of course, 1 o'clock Rambam. Sorry, Vilma, go ahead.
What I heard from you about the healthy flow.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I think I've heard this in various prayers, as you said, about how important connection is, not just to the words and to the prayers and to God, but among the people, among the Jewish people, how important that connection is, and the unity. And there's no unity without connection, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And connection is one of the hardest things to have with anyone.
Yes. Definitely a challenge, because think of it, when earlier I was hungry, I felt my hunger pangs. I felt my, hunger. Um, you don't really feel someone else's hunger. I mean, you may see on them that they are hungry, but you're not feeling their hunger. So, from the physical point of view, and we're all physical beings, um, we we feel ourselves. So to overcome that and to be able to feel connected to another is not a simple task. Not a simple thing. It's work on our part that we need to uh, we need to work on ourselves to become more refined, more connected to our soul, and by um, more connected to our souls, we will then be able to be connected to another soul. Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, any other things? Marjan asked about the tzedakah from the previous letter. So, yeah, the idea of tzedakah is 10%. Something that we actually just finished learning the basis of that as Meiser, of tithing. And we also are obliged in tzedakah to give to non-Jews, although there's a hierarchy in responsibility. You're responsible to your own family, uh, to your own family, to your own you know, uh, close family and not so close family, your community, like if, you know, in your synagogue, so to speak, your community, the greater community that in the city that you live, um, and then beyond that, um, you know, to be, for example, you know, I have more responsibility to people in Montreal than I do to people in New York, unless it's family or someone, you know, that there's a closeness that therefore you have a responsibility to them. Um, and then to Israel, and absolutely. So there is some kind of hierarchy. I think I answered John and Deborah. Okay. A reminder: the Kinnis Hashluchim, the banquet tonight, 6 o'clock. My class again, 5 o'clock. So you can make sure you get to it and celebrate the greatest power on earth, the Rebbe's Shluchim. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim at the Kinnis Hashluchim Ha'olami, the international um, gathering of the Rebbe's Shluchim, and wishing everybody a wonderful day, a wonderful week. God bless.